Hello to everyone. I'm very glad to be here. My name is Gil Shir, and today we are going to talk about humanity, emergence, all kind of organisms. It's going to be fun, but I want to ask you a question. Let's start with a riddle, a little game. It's going to be like a guessing game. I want you to guess who or what am I. I'm going to give you some clues, and based on those clues, I want you to guess who or what am I. So, I can build really complex structures. Just to understand like what I mean by complex, you would need a first or second degree in civil engineering, and you'd probably need many years of experience to be able to build such a structure. You'd have to know architecture, probably also for many years in order to be able to build it. You probably also have to be an expert in like structural ventilation to know how to have like structures that can isolate heat and cold and airflow, etc. Okay, so who can do all those things? Who or what can do all those things? Another clue. I can also do statistical sampling and analysis on the fly. No calculator needed, no computer needed. I can do all those things. So I'm not an engineer. No, I'm not a super intelligent human or humans. I am, yes, someone already wrote it in the chat. I am an ant. That's it, an ant. Well, actually, that's not accurate. I'm not an ant because an ant is really stupid. Sorry, ants. I don't mean to be mean, but ants are not smart. They have a tiny, you can imagine how small their brain is. Take an ant, put it on your table, and what you'll probably see is the ant walking around in circles until it dies. That's what an ant will do. So an ant, not very smart. So how can an ant do everything that I just said? Well, let's take maybe a look. We're going to have a quick look at YouTube, on YouTube. We're not going to watch the video, but it's a video that you can search for yourself if you want. Secrets. Megalopolis of ants uncovered. You can check it out. It's really fascinating. It's 3 minutes. I'm just going to show you some screenshots. So what they did, well, actually, they actually mass murdered millions of ants. Seriously, they poured 10 tons of cement into an ant colony to see how, to uncover it. So that's what they did. So all the comments here are about how they killed all those ants, but they already did it. So what they found was like a mega structure, like something insane, seriously, like something incredible. Where can I see it? Okay, like this, for example. Yeah, you see it all right? This whole structure is the ant colony that they uncovered. It's like really insane, and it's really advanced and fascinating, and all those things that I said. Its structure is so advanced that you would really need to have years of experience to be able to plan something like this. But not only in civil engineering, you would need to know, like I said, architecture and ventilation and isolation and thermal. You would have to know so many things to do it, and there is clearly intelligence. Now you might say, okay, it's all instinctive, but what else can ants do? This is another video which I'm not going to show you because I don't own it, so I can't show you the video. You can look it up yourself. This is also a really fascinating video which I recommend you check out. It's called Emergence. It's on the Kurzgezeitzt channel. Kurzgezeitzt, I think it means in German in a nutshell. Basically, one of the examples they give of ants and how ants have different roles, but the ants aren't born into these roles. So how do they decide what role they'll have? They smell each other, they sniff each other. Each ant secretes different chemicals that give a different scent. And basically, when the ants pass by each other, when they're in the colony, they give a little sniff of the scent. And basically, what happens is, if they don't smell enough gatherers, for example, if an ant doesn't smell enough gatherers walking past him, he'll become a gatherer. So he calculates, he remembers, He counts how many workers, caretakers, soldiers, and gatherers there are. If, for example, he didn't come across enough gatherers, a quick calculation, bam, he turns into a gatherer. This is really incredible. You can't understand it. Because if you take an ant and you research the heck out of it, you dissect it, you study its behavior, you keep it alive, you watch a million separate ants for years, you'll never be able to predict that kind of behavior. Never in a million years. Why? Because that behavior is called an emergent quality. So it doesn't exist in the individual ants. It exists only when the ants when the ants work as one, basically, as a colony. Then this quality emerges from the colony. And it is really amazing. And it's all around nature, by the way. It's everywhere. We see this phenomena of emergence all around us. How does it work? Scientists don't really know how it works. They just know the conditions that it happens, and they can say to an extent what doesn't work. So you can't predict the qualities of the emergent state by looking at the individual parts. And this is actually, you can think of tons of examples. Even take your human body, right? What's it made of? It's made of a lot of things, actually. It's made of cells, it's made of molecules, and it's made of atoms. Depends how far you want to zoom in. But let's say even you take molecules, right? Or even cells, which are already living things. So if you take cells, you would never be able to predict how the human body can behave. And the same with your brain, your consciousness even, your ability now to watch this video and think about it and process what you're hearing. If you go into the brain and you start taking all the neurons and start looking at them one by one, you will never be able to predict consciousness. So this phenomena is really fascinating, but it's not only fascinating, it's somewhat relevant to us. And I'll tell you in a little bit why it's relevant to us on the individual level and to us as humanity. Let's take a look at another cool example, just because it's really cool. So here is the example. Where is it? Yes, here. Okay. So they put the map of Japan, and they spread out on the map food for slime mold, some kind of food for it, I guess. I don't know exactly what, and they put slime mold in the middle of the map. So something like this, right? So the yellow is the slime mold, and the white dots are food. So after 5 hours, the slime mold wants to eat, so it starts expanding towards the food, right? So after 8 hours, it expands more. After 11, 16, after 26 hours, the slime mold actually built a network in order to be able to reach all the food on the map. Now, what was amazing here is that the network that the slime mold created in order to reach all the food in these different spots was very, very similar to the Japan railway network. And it wasn't completely identical. And when they researched, they found that the network the slime built was even more optimal than the actual Japan railway system, which is pretty incredible because the railway system was designed probably by a whole bunch of engineers and scientists and civil engineers and whatnot. And the slime mold did it in 26 hours, no training. And that's a form of intelligence. And it's pretty crazy when you think about it. And this exists, like I said, all around, right? So if you look at schools of fish, you'll see it. If you look at starling murmurations, you'll also see it. And these emergent states, they bring with them something that didn't exist before. So what's this relevant for us? So the question is, okay, so what about us human beings? think of us for a second like an alien that comes to Earth, right? So you look at the planet, you see all kinds of species, you see the ants and how they work together and build crazy colonies, and you see the birds and they fly together and they can fight off predators and they can navigate and this and this and that. You see schools of fish who swim together and then they have emergent qualities. And then you look at human beings, which are also an organism, you could say, like, right, we're a species. And what's our emergent state? Do we even have one? Can we have one? So we don't have an emergent state. In fact, we do, but we're not currently experiencing it. Any form you see in humanity of some kind of corporation is very, very limited. It's nothing like you see in nature in terms of complete cooperation, or even the human body. Like, think of the human body, for example, of all the cells working together, supporting each other, nurturing, working for the system, being nurtured themselves as well in the process, but also being as one. And then think of humanity, who's fighting in wars, and half of the world is starving, and the other half is just over-consuming, and, it's not great. So it's clear that humanity is not maximizing its potential. Because just think about it for a second. If ants that are so stupid, little ants, sorry little ants, but they have nothing, that tiny little brain, but they work together and they can build these incredible things that humans would need many, many years of training to build. I could never design or build that. Most of you probably couldn't either. If there is anyone who understands in engineering, I'd like to hear from you if you could design something like that, or how complex it is. I looked into it a little bit. It's very complex. So what would happen if we started working but if we were able to click like the ants? For example, let's imagine. So imagine for a second that we start working like the ant colony, right? Everyone working together and thinking of each other and calculating for the well-being of the collective. It doesn't cancel the self, by the way, right? Because the self benefits as well. If the collective benefits and the self is in the collective, then the self can also benefit, probably much more than it would. So let's say all of humans work together, blah, 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 blah. What would be the outcome of that? What would emerge from us? It's pretty cool to think about it, because if ants, that emerges from them, that super intelligence, what would emerge from humanity? Well, in fact, there are people that claim to know. We'll get to that a little bit later on. I just want to show you maybe a short video, a 4-minute video that I made just a couple of years ago for a course that we offer on Kabbalah. The course is called The Science of Human Emergence. So if this topic interests you, you'll definitely love the course. This is the 6th video from the course, and we'll see it. It's about 4 minutes, and it basically, just to give it a bit of background, because it starts, it's video 6. So basically, this video explains how it asks a question: what can we learn from 4 billion years of evolution? So why am I telling you about it? Let's watch it. And if you like it, I'll tell you after it where you can find more of it. Okay, here it is. 3.8 billion years ago, something incredible happened. A rock came to life. That was our beginning. No one knows exactly how or where life emerged, just that it did. So what can almost 4 billion years of evolution teach us about the next level of human development? When we look around us, we see life everywhere. Trees, people, animals, insects, plants. The vast complexity of life around us started from very simple life forms. And if we carefully observe the stages of evolution and emergence, we might be able to identify a pattern that can teach us something about the emergence of mankind as well. So let's go back 3.8 billion years ago to the first life form known to us. It was a single-celled organism called prokaryotes. Back then, they were considered super complex beings, in comparison to the rocks and minerals. Now, there were different types of these cells, each doing different things. For example, one type was a bacterial cell that converted solar energy. Another cell used oxygen to break down materials like sugar.
Each cell had its unique abilities and made a unique contribution to maintain balance in its ecosystem. However, they would also fight for resources, and this went on for like 1 billion years until something amazing happened. The different types of cells reached a conclusion that they're better off sharing resources and responsibilities. Now, at first, it was just basic forms of collaboration. Give me this, take that. But then a whole new level of collaboration emerged, and this changed everything. The cells started behaving like a single organism, as if they shared a collective consciousness. And when that happened, bam, a new level of life had emerged. That process happened again and again, leading to the evolution of the nucleated cell, about 2.1 billion years ago. That was a big deal. We're talking about a cell that's 1,000 times bigger and much more complex. It's like comparing a house to a huge city. Now, these nucleated cells, they carry incredible complexity. They have about 30,000 recycling centers that take male functioning proteins and turn them to useful amino acids. They have about 1,000 powerhouses that transfer energy, and much, much more. Scientists aren't exactly sure how the nucleated cell was formed, but one thing is certain. Thousands of components in this little city are working in perfect harmony, and they appear to be sharing a form of collective consciousness. So, evolution continues, and about 600 million years ago, the nucleated cell begins to come together and form a multicellular organism, like plants and animals. Now, they have trillions of nucleated cells that weren't just cooperating. They shared a collective consciousness and became incredible things like sea sponges and frogs and Venus flytraps and tree-dwelling mammals and amphibians and dinosaurs. And eventually, about 200,000 years ago, our species began to evolve. Now, in a relatively short time, we found tons of ways to communicate, to cooperate, to trade with each other, but also to wage wars and destroy the planet. So what is the next stage of human evolution? Well, if we look at 4 billion years of history, we can see a pattern. Individual things connect and they form collectives that enable the emergence of a higher level of consciousness. Now, thousands of years ago, Kabbalists described something that's strikingly similar. They describe humanity as a single collective soul, an emergent state that we're all part of, and they call it the soul of Adam Harishon. In this soul, all the pieces work together in perfect harmony. They give each individual the ability to realize its full potential, both for itself and for the whole. So, if our emergent state is a state of collective consciousness, where we feel and act as one harmonious entity, why does it look like we're so far from this state, living in a world that's filled with chaos, crisis, destruction? Stay tuned to find out.
All right, so first of all, if you enjoyed that video and you'd like to check out the course, we offer it in Kabbalah, which is our website, where we teach Kabbalah and many other things as well. We have a community. Sometimes I like to call it a communiversity. It's both a community and also kind of like a university. We give courses there on all kinds of topics related to Kabbalah and the system of nature, you could say, and anything related to that. So it's quite a lot fits into that category, and it gives kind of a high-level overview and understanding of the entire system that's evolving, that we're part of, and how it influences us, and what the wisdom of Kabbalah has to say about it. So you can check out Kabbalah if you'd like. You'll find a link now in the chat for a 14-day free trial, no strings attached. So you can cancel if you want after 13 days and not pay anything if you don't want to continue, or if you do, then you can, and it costs like $10 a month. Or if you do it annually, annually it works out $10 a month if you pay annually, and if you pay monthly, it's $19 a month. So it's not a lot. It helps us. We're a non-profit, so everything goes back into the system and creating more courses, more content, etc. And while I'm already at it in this promotional kind of mode, then I'll say that I think we have an option to support also our YouTube channel. So if you'd like to support the making of these and more videos and more content, which is good, hopefully for humanity, then would be really happy and grateful for that. And let's continue. So by the way, if you have any questions, I can already see all the hellos from around the world, which is actually cool. Like Steve saying hello from Michigan. Ruth is highly recommending the course. Thank you, Ruth. Actually saw quite a lot in the beginning. Sylvie from Rotterdam, and Debbie, and Renata, and Ingrid. Yeah. It's awesome to see you guys here. I forgot in the beginning, but now I'm looking at it, and yeah, keep saying hi. Say hi where you're from. It's awesome to see kind of the variety we have. The potential, I think it's potential. Seeing students from all nationalities, backgrounds, religions, just coming together here is always heartwarming, and it kind of relates to this topic because we saw how it works in nature. So what did we see in that video? We saw that every time that the organism, well, it goes through a stage of fighting for resources, which is probably where we are now as humanity, right? We're in a state of conflict, which is okay because it's part of that cycle. But at a certain point, there's a state of negotiation where the organism starts trying to figure out how to click. And when they do, I didn't say how, I don't know how. I do, but I'm saying I don't know how. So when they click, then something emerges. So we need to click. We need to be in this sync, right? And we sometimes have this sync because, to continue with the fascinating stuff, whenever I get excited about these things, then I imagine my wife, who in many cases is like boring, and I'm like, yeah, you gotta hear this. I saw this documentary about the universe and the stars. And she's like, boring. I mean, she's interested in a whole other things like poetry and things like that, but the sciencey things maybe a little less. And then I'm thinking, I'm all excited here, and maybe you guys are thinking like, oh, yawn. So hopefully not. Well, I guess the people that yawn just drop off the video, and those that find it interesting stay. So, but it's not just for the sciencey people, because what I'm trying to reach here is something deeper than the intellect, because there is something deeper. Now, we're talking about this click that we need in order to emerge, because the potential of emergence is incredible. It'll definitely solve every single problem we have in all of humanity, and wars and famine, and everyone will be happy. Now that's a huge promise, but just think of the potential of humanity clicking and then suddenly working as an organism, right? It's huge. Now, the really interesting thing that I think is, I'm just laughing about the last comment. Science and poetry are two sides of the same shekel. Possibly. So the fascinating thing here, seriously, it is fascinating, is that we're already built for this state. And when I say we, I don't mean the whole of the we, meaning the whole of me, but part of us. And which part? Our bodies. Our bodies are already built for this, our physical body. So what I'm really saying is that there's something beyond our body. And I think as human beings, we can recognize that, right? That we have our physical body, which you can replace organs in it, etc. And then we have the self, the consciousness, the desire, which is different than animals' desire. We can plan ahead. We have consciousness. Some animals do as well, but it's clear that human consciousness and human thinking is the most evolved, and there's something more to it, because our bodies are already built for the emergent state. The only thing that's lacking is for our desire to click in. And I'll give you a few examples of how our body is built for it. So there's a whole area of research. We actually have a course on this on Kabbalah. I'm not promoting Kabbalah again. We did a whole course about the science of positive human connection, about how this body of ours is wired for human connection. So when you connect with people, your body secretes oxytocin, which makes you heal better and makes you more happier, more productive. People succeed more when they have positive human connections. They succeed more in business. They're more creative when they have good positive connections with people. We tend to synchronize with one another. So when two people who have emotions for one another, positive emotions, like a couple, for example, right? If a couple, And this is, you can look it up on Google. It's amazing, and scientists don't know how to explain it. They just found out from researching and experimenting. When two people are close together, a couple, man, woman, 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 doesn't matter, people who are close emotionally to one another, their heartbeats start beating in synchrony. So let's say it starts off like heartbeats like this. After a certain period of time, not long, maybe a few 30, 40 seconds, the heartbeats start synchronizing and they start beating in unison. And what's even more fascinating is if the couple does not have an emotional connection, then it won't happen. And that is mind-blowing, because how does the emotional connection of two people sitting 2 meters away from one another, that is what makes their heart start beating in unison? It's unclear and it's unexplainable. And there are a lot of things, by the way, in synchrony between humans that people can't explain. There are a lot of cool examples too. When people sing together in a choir, they start breathing in synchrony. So they sing, and they start breathing in synchrony. That's maybe a little clearer because they need to take the breaths, but it happens beautifully. Next time you sing in a group, just pay attention to how everyone breathes. It's really cool. Synchrony happens with clapping. When people start clapping at a certain point, they start, like in a performance, they start clapping in the beginning, kind of a mess, and then it starts going like clap, 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 right? It's a natural thing that our body has to synchronize. And it really is fascinating because our body is synchronizing naturally, where our biology, our chemistry is hardwired for positive connection, yet we're, I don't want to curse, but we're egoists, we're pieces of beep, right? That's what we're doing. We're ruining each other, and we get pleasure from being better than others. It's like we have two opposite things in us. We have the body, which is like an animal, which, like all of nature, is hardwired for positive social connection, and in its potential, it's wanting to evolve, to sync, to reach this emergent state. And on the other hand, we have the ego, the desire, which is just the opposite of it. Think about it for a second. How animals instinctively they go into sync. Even if you see cruelty in nature, it's not from an egoistic desire. It's not for, if a lion eats its prey, it's not like I'm eating you. It's just hungry and needs to eat, right? It's a natural process. But if a human has a fight with someone else and wins, then it's spite, right? That feeling, oh, I'm better, I'm greater, I'm this, I'm that. So humanity has something in it that needs to be calibrated. And in fact, it's only the human desire. That's the only thing we're missing. And how can we sync that human desire? We have to do it consciously. We have to make an effort to do it. In that, we're different from the rest of nature. We need to do a process here of consciously evolving to that level. And how can we do it? That's what we do. That's what Kabbu, that's what this channel is trying to do in these videos, everywhere, all the time. We're trying to do that. We're trying to calibrate our desire to be in sync with the rest of nature, to be harmonious. Let's do an exercise, okay? Let's watch some birds. I love watching birds. Maybe I've shown you some birds in the past. Doesn't matter. I've seen them many, many times. A starling murmuration. It's some nice music in the background. Let's take a look at it. And let's just try, it's an emotional exercise. Let's try and feel the state that these birds are in. And let's try now, all of us, maybe 200 of us on YouTube, on Facebook, on social media, plus the thousands that are going to watch this later, hopefully. It doesn't matter when you watch it, because this synchrony is above time. So when you're watching this right now, regardless, even if it's a recording, try and calibrate your heart and your mind, yourself, to that frequency that you'll feel from watching these birds. And let's try and create that frequency between all of us now, all of the viewers, the people. Okay? I'm going to put a little earphone in just so I can kind of listen to it with you, because there's no sound from this computer that I'm playing it on. So we won't watch the whole thing. We'll watch a little bit, but let's try and feel it. 1 second. Where is it? Here. Okay. Okay, so I'll kind of stay on the screen just so maybe I'll add a few words while we're watching it, but let's try and get the feel. Wait, let me just start from the beginning so I can synchronize it with what I'm playing here. Okay. So, as we watch these birds just flying, they look like one, right? How they're moving together in a single motion. Let's also, internally, let's try and move also in a single motion. All of us now, everyone who's watching this, no matter where you are, no matter when you are, let's connect to that frequency of nature. That sense of perfection, of wholeness, of oneness. You might have something jump inside, pulling you away. Rise above it. Try. Get in sync with all of us. You can close your eyes if it helps. Or you can just look at the birds. When they're together, they're strong. They're smart. They're perfect, as we can be. Beauty in the birds is not in the individuals only, but how they connect. Because in their connection, in our connection, there is a force that pulls us and pushes us away from each other, but also pulls us together if that's what we want. So let's want that. Let's feel it. Okay, so we ended up getting to the end of the video. What do you think? Just write your impression in the chat. I'd love to see. If you felt it, you didn't feel it, what did you feel? Renata already wrote, I want to be a bird. Nice. I don't think you want to be a bird. I think what you want is to be in that state of perfection that the birds were in. Maybe you also want to be a bird. But maybe you want to be human, connected, in that oneness like the birds. What else? David wrote communication. Interesting, because the murmuration, there is a form of communication there, but it's very limited. Birds only communicate with the ones around them, but the whole thing seems like one organism. Yvette is writing crying. Daniel is writing overwhelming. Tracy wrote profound peace and unity. Sharon wrote love the synchronicity. CMC wrote, I wonder what the reason for them extending so much energy. Julie wrote, I feel humanity rising and moving together all across the globe. Okay. V wrote, the video gives me chills every time. Me too. Okay. Keep sharing. Even if I don't read it, then the other viewers can read it and will, hopefully. Yeah, it is beautiful. It's an example. It's just an exercise. And in fact, that's what we need. We need to exercise that muscle of ours, that muscle which is our desire. Our desire, it's like a muscle. It's not a muscle, but it's like a muscle, because we need to get to start working on it. Because naturally our desire, it's like a conflict, because on the one hand, I think I've never gotten bad feedback from someone watching that and connecting to it internally. Because it feels like there's a force there, and there is. On the other hand, we learn all of this, we know all of this, but when we go, our instinct is the opposite. Our instinct is destructive, unfortunately. I'm not saying everyone's bad. Well, to an extent, yes. Everyone has an ego in them. We learn how to control it and use it cunningly, right? I'm good, I'm polite, but I'm still going to maximize my own benefit. It's fine, it's not bad. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that there is potential here, huge potential of us as a human race to rise, to connect. And I've seen it. I actually just saw it now. We had an event here with 6,000 people, 2,000 physically here, where I'm located right now, in this building that I'm broadcasting from. Just 10 minutes before this started, that event finished. 2,000 people here from all around the world, Christians, Jews, Muslims, Hindus, atheists, whatnot, all religions, all nationalities, people from all around the world, all genders, all kinds, male, female, and whatever, all of the different variations that people now started surfacing based on what they feel. And everyone was just together, and just like that exercise we did with the birds, then all these people did it together. Imagine the intensity of that. And it's beautiful that there are people in the world that are working on this. And in fact, I'm grateful to be part of it. Kind of spilling a little bit of my emotion from that event into this event, but that's fine. Even if you've never seen us before and this is totally new for you, then you know that something good is happening in the world. Even if it's only 6,000 people and not 6 million or 6 billion, hopefully it'll expand. And that's up to every single one of us, whether it's through our internal change that we want to go through and we work on and invest in. You have to invest in it, of course. or whether it's even a technical thing, like even if you like or share this video, by the way, you're doing it, you're sharing this idea with more people, this video or anything on our channel. And there are probably other things on the internet as well which are good, but I can say for sure what we have on our channel, that's what it aims to do. I'm just looking at the comments here. There are so many, and it's heartwarming to see how we're synchronizing right now. And I bet that even though we're distant and we're all across the globe, and even though we're across time, and that's always fascinating to me, that right now it's 10 to 9 p.m. GMT +2, wherever you are, it's different. And I bet that even if you would check this, if someone's watching it later on, there would still be some level of synchrony here, that we're all syncing into some kind of wavelength. I don't know if it's brain waves or heartbeat or I don't know what, but we're syncing here, because when our desires sync, then we connect to a general force of reality, to a general force of nature. And when we do that, that force, it's an elevating force. It lifts us, it connects us. And that's what gives us that feeling of wow, what's happening here? And I hope that you could feel it a little bit. I felt it. We didn't really cover much questions. I didn't actually see too many questions. If you have questions about this session, go ahead and ask. I'll be taking a look. I actually didn't look at Facebook enough, so I'll take a look at Facebook. Beth, yes, you can review what you missed. Don't worry. It's all recorded. You can even probably watch it now. Even while it's live, you can just go back and start over. Hey, David, good to see you here on Facebook. And Michael as well. David's, okay, here we have a question. So why are we so out of sync? So I kind of covered that, but we're out of sync. Again, that's the main point here. And this is interesting, because for me it was always fascinating how our bodies are built for positive connection. When even touch someone, give someone a hug for 10 seconds, it doesn't just feel good. It feels good because your body starts secreting oxytocin, and it gives you that. It's a love hormone, it's called, right? It's the same hormone that's secreted when mother breastfeeds, when lovers make love. It's the same. It's a hormone that's so good for us. It has so many positive things in it. You can't even imagine. Just research benefits of oxytocin, right? And oxytocin is secreted from positive human connection. So we're built for it. But our desire isn't. Now, why isn't our desire built for it? There is also a reason for that. And I said in the beginning that we don't know how to reach the emergent state. And I also said that actually there are people who do know, and and these people are called Kabbalists. And how do they know how to reach the emergent state? Because they reached it themselves. They reached the emergent state with all of humanity. You could say, wait a minute, but how could they reach it themselves without the rest of humanity? Yeah, that's an entirely different topic in and of itself. In fact, I cover it in the course of the science of human emergence, how there can be two opposite states that coexist. I'll give you a hint. It's not new to science. Two contradicting states can coexist at the same time. Just to give a quick example, is light, a wave, or a particle. There's duality there. It can be this, it can be that, and they can coexist, right? So similarly here, your current state and your emergent state are already coexisting. I know I opened up a whole extra thing now, 8 minutes towards the end. We're not going to go into it. But yes, in fact, our emergent state is already in existence. We are, all of us, already in unison, like those birds. We only need to shift our perception. And we shift our perception by these efforts to calibrate our desire. Not by calibrating it, just by trying to. For example, that video we watched together with the birds, that exercise, that's an example of an exercise to calibrate our thought. But even if you don't do a guided kind of session, like that 3-minute bird thing, even now just watching it, if while you're watching and thinking, you're trying to tune your heart and your mind to this general frequency that exists in all of humanity in potential, then you're already connecting to it. So I'm going to see if we have any questions on topic. Okay, Tracy is asking, who or what controls that emergent state and to what end or purpose? Well, Tracy, you do. You control it. You control your desire, what you do with your desire. Not your desire, but what you do with it. It's kind of tricky because what's required isn't to change how our desire works. That's not possible, but only to try. It's like a workout. Even if you can't do a pull-up. So how do you practice? You just hang there and you start going, you start pulling yourself up without moving. And if someone looks at you from the side, they think you're an idiot because what are you doing just hanging there? But you're not. You're making the effort, right? And the effort builds up your muscle. And in the future, you'll be able to actually pull yourself up, right? So just to try. And to what end or purpose? Well, to emerge to a higher level. That's what all of humanity, all of evolution shows us. That every time there are higher levels of complexity, higher levels of emergence that lead to something new that couldn't be recognized before, and that's what's happening now to all of humanity. We're reaching the state that we need to rise to a higher spiritual degree, a spiritual level, a level that's above our animalistic and humanly desires for food, sex, family, money, power, knowledge, desires that are no longer fulfilling us, by the way. They're not fulfilling us, right? Even look at countries that are the most developed. Alongside with that, there's the highest rate of depression because a person who has everything they imagine will make them happy and they're still not happy, they're depressed. Like, I have my car, my 2 cars, my boat, my Sunday off, my holiday house. I'm not happy. What's going on here, right? And that emptiness is actually an awakening. It's an awakening that's happening now collectively for all of us, for all of humanity. It's actually an invite. It's an invite for us together to rise above to a higher level of emergence. Ziad is asking, what other individual exercises can help us attain the emergent state? Well, that's a good question. There are individual exercises. It's actually, I would say it's not an exercise individually. It's mainly just to start exposing yourself to it. So for example, if you take our courses on Kabbalah, maybe Linda can post the link again, please, to Kabbalah, to our 14-day free membership. And even if you keep paying afterwards, we're a non-profit. All money goes back into developing. But we have courses there. Even if you just watch the courses and you start thinking about it, right? So there's a whole course about human emergence. There are other courses as well. Everything talks about that. That's what Kabbalah is. It's about rising to a higher degree of development. And anything that you do to engage with that idea, it can be reading about it, thinking about it, talking about it, exercising. Most efficient is doing it with other people. But even if you do it individually, at least in the beginning, there's great benefit to that as well. And you'll see how it starts upgrading your thinking. It's like on the mobile, you have app upgrades, right? So every time you engage with that, it's like you have an app upgrade, right? So Cannibal Osmo says together is better. I agree, but it's not a necessity. Definitely not in the beginning. Thank you, Grandma Patty. I see that you can even donate money on YouTube. This is new to me. So I see that Grandma Patty donated $20. Awesome. That's great. Thank you. I appreciate it. We appreciate it. So anyway, Ziad, anything you do to engage in it with that idea is actually an exercise that will upgrade your thinking. So if you don't want to sign up to Kabbalah, even though you do have a 14-day free trial, but even if you don't want to sign up, you can even just watching our videos here on the channel on YouTube for free. That too will also give you that feeling. Just it's not structured. There we have courses and we have live sessions. Like right now, we're going to wrap it up and we're going to continue on Zoom with the Kabbalah students, where we'll be able to kind of be a little more personal and talk to each other, etc., and have a bit of an intimate feeling as well. But even if you're just watching it on YouTube, you'll already start feeling it. And if you feel the need for more, then you can always join. But anyway, this whole topic is I've spoken about it, I've done some videos about it here on this channel in the past. Every time I talk about it, it's hard not to be blown away by this idea, because you just need to look around, look at nature, and see how all these things, they just click and they work together, and bam, something rises from them, and just, we got to do it too. Let's do it already. Let's want to do it. Let's do it together. Just imagine that humanity. What a beautiful humanity that would be. So we're going to wrap it up here. I'm happy we had this session. We didn't have much time for questions, so write them in the chat. I promise I will go back to the video and answer every single question there. And for those of you who are Kabbalah members, I'll see you on Zoom in just a few minutes. So I'm Gil Shir. Today we covered humanity and the science of human emergence, and how we can power up and be a little bit more connected, and maybe connect to a force that will lift us to a new level. See you later.